Okay, hi guys, it's Marina and I am back with another video. Um, I would like to talk about what I want to see in the first 100 days. Um, because I've seen a lot of different people talking about it and I don't know that I've heard this take on it, so I'm going to just give this take on it. First and foremost, and above all else, MAHA. Everything related to making America healthy again needs to be first. Why? Because for people like me who want to be out there on the front lines fighting, but who have health problems that limit our ability to do many things, you need us, we need you. Get us fully healthy so that we can put all of our energy toward this fight. I know I'm not the only one. There are other people. I do what I can. I live in Los Angeles, and Los Angeles is a mess. The entire state of California is a mess. Y'all know we're still counting ballots, right? There's no reason why a county this large, a state this large, with all the people and all the resources available, why we should not have been done. Obviously, countries around the world can count their ballots. Now, just understand that for most people who don't know, it's designed to be slow. The reason Florida was able to count all of their ballots so quickly is because they do signature verification in advance. Nothing to stop that from happening except whether or not they have a law that permits it or not. So they want to do this. Let me tell you why they want this. Because they hope that people will lose interest, that the volunteer energy will wane, that people will stop paying attention, and then they can cheat. That's why they do it. Okay, so let's be clear about that. That is absolutely why they do it. I stand by and maintain that that Larry Elder won the recall election in 2021, and I'm just waiting for someone to care about it. I'm still angry and bitter about it. This illegitimate tyrant governor that we have here in California, destroying the state even further. Mahami, and I will start making this state great again and the city great again. I want to put my energy towards this. I've been doing what I can, but again, clean up these elections. I cannot believe that we're going through this again and we haven't seen any significant perp walks. It's ridiculous and I am pissed off about it. In the first 100 days, I want perp walks for election criminals. Nothing else matters in an election until we know that they're safe and secure. And anybody who actually thinks that, nationwide, delusional. Absolutely delusional. I don't buy it. I don't believe it. And even if it is, we have not had nearly enough truth and transparency to be sure about it. Get that done. Perp walks. Why perp walks? Because there needs to be a message sent to the next generation or the wannabe tyrants, the psychopaths just waiting to get their hands on some power. We need to send a message that we will no longer tolerate this type of behavior. No more. People have to be law-abiding citizens. Number two, I'm not huge on term limits. I'll tell you why. People should be able to elect who they want to elect to represent them. Now, I'm not 100% against it, but I would prefer that we make it much less attractive to be a career politician. And that way there will be no draw for people to do that unless they want to be a lifelong public servant. And there are different ways. I mean, we could remove the ability to get perks, to do trading, different things like that. We could make it so that after so many years, you no longer get a salary. You just get a stipend, living expenses or whatever the case may be. I think we can make it unattractive enough. No lobbying, no nothing. The only thing that you can really do is to benefit from your experience, like writing books and things like that. And I think maybe we limit even the type of advances. You can't have people writing books that they didn't write, getting an advance that's far more than the value of the book. Not that they can't get an advance, but that it should be like getting an advance on your commission, something like that. So I understand that that's a lot more complicated, but I also believe that people should be able to select who they want to represent them. Is there enough people to go around? Sure, I think that there is. but I'm not 100% sold on term limits. I'm 100% sold. Like, listen, if we don't let people go into these elected positions and then come out very, very wealthy criminals, I think that we can change the way that people see that. Right now, we're attracting the wrong type of people. I think that we need to have accountability for smut, for known lies that are put out just to sabotage and interfere with the election. I'm not talking about, rumor spreading and things like that. I'm talking about people putting out known lies in order to influence elections, like what appears to have happened to Mark Robinson in North Carolina. Now, we'll see what ultimately turns up in his lawsuit, but if there was an orchestrated smear campaign and for that purpose, I think there needs to be consequences for that, and severe ones, because who's ever going to want to run for office? Just regular, ordinary people living their life, if they're going to be personally destroyed, smeared within their community. Many people will never know that it was a lie or it was made up. How are you going to get people to run for office that want to be, that know that they're likely to be put through that? And the way that it seems at this point, the better a person is, just like the better their character, because very few people have nothing on them. So the people who are so good that they really can't find anything on them, those are the ones that get hit the hardest. And there goes a reputation that many of them have spent their lifetime building. They spent a lifetime becoming the person that they are with the character integrity, and they have it attacked in the most vicious way. I can't with that anymore. Next. I like some of the appointments. I don't like some of the appointments, but let me tell you about the ones that I really like and why I think they matter. I'm a little iffy on Radcliffe, and I'll tell you that's because I feel like there was some dishonesty and shenanigans in the release of the 2020 election report. I'm very, very salty about 2020, and I will not stop being salty about it until I know the truth. I'm not moving on. I don't care if other people want to move on. I'm not moving on from it. So the report was late. He had all kinds of excuses about what kind of nonsense his subordinates do. Don't let your subordinates run you, okay? Your subordinates having arguments over, what should or shouldn't be included, blah, 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 blah. Maybe I'm not remembering this correctly, but I remember it being late. I remember it being highly redacted, and I don't know that we've ever seen anything meaningful out of that. Please correct me if I'm wrong. So I have my doubts about him for this reason. I'm going to assume, like I said, I am reserving on 2020 for now, because I think that there is so much that we don't know, but I'm not going to withhold my criticism related to that until I am satisfied that the questions have been answered. Okay. Tulsi Gabbard, I love. And I have some issues with Tulsi Gabbard because I don't like that she endorsed Joe Biden in 2020. She could have remained silent. She hasn't explained that, and I wish someone would ask her to explain it. If I've missed that and it's out there somewhere, point me to it. Everybody knew what he was. Everybody saw him grabbing on these little girls, grabbing on their private areas, little girls right in front of everyone. Who would endorse someone like that? He was clearly showing signs of mental decline. Why would she do that? I need an explanation. I'm sorry, Tulsi. I need an explanation for that. And maybe you have a good one, and maybe you'll give an explanation and I won't like it. Okay, but I want one. And I wish someone would ask. We're too easily forgetting too many things. That said, if I give her the maximum benefit of the doubt, let me say this. I think Radcliffe is going to the CIA, if I'm not mistaken. Tulsi's going to the DNI. Matt Gaetz as the Attorney General. I love that pick, by the way. I love that one. I have no doubts about him. I love what he's done with the J6ers. He's done, I just kind of recently looked into it. He's done even a lot more than I even knew. Like, the dedication was real. It wasn't for show. He was out there, putting his time and energy into this cause, without necessarily always stepping in front of a microphone to talk about it. I respect and admire that. I respect and admire the courage that he showed when he was accused of absolutely horrific things by our corrupt DOJ. The kind of, I understand that a lot of people will be afraid and fearful that they cannot overcome these kind of accusations, but my experience has been it's always better to stand on the truth. Even when it seems like it's too hard and it's too difficult, it's always easier to stand on the truth. And when I see someone do that, they do get my respect. What if he had not been able to overcome it? What if, people didn't believe him? I know how that feels, and I admire and applaud him. I'll be looking to see a couple of the other appointments, but here's the thing about all of these warmongers that everyone is concerned about. If we don't have garbage intelligence being fed into these other departments, then they will have no basis to go out there pushing for war. Anyone who has paid attention to all of these State Department and Defense Department bogus and BS WMD style intelligence reports that cause us to go around pretending that there are countries and situations that are a threat to us that just aren't. We get rid of that, and we get rid of a lot of the basis for the neocons to go around shouting for war. In the past, we've always had these shadowy intelligence agencies that provided the backup for the war machine. If we have the right people in place strategically, like I said, DOJ, DNI, CIA, I'm hearing that Kash Patel may be considered for the FBI. That one's a little different because I would presume that unless Christopher Wray intends to resign, that Trump would have to first fire Christopher Wray once he got into office. But either way, if we have these strategically placed positions, then we can do away with the garbage intelligence that creates these fabricated threats. And that will kneecap anyone who wants to go out there pushing this nonsense. It's time for truth and intelligence. It's time for truth and transparency in our government, which is the next thing I want to see. D-class cannot happen soon enough. One of my biggest disappointments in the first Trump administration was the lack of D-class. I understand that there were obstacles and things like that, but maybe one day he will explain the delay. Again, there's so many things that I see that don't make any sense that I am open to hear an explanation, but I need one. I'm not going to just let anything go. Those things that I want an explanation on, I'm going to continue to ask for an explanation on, and the lack of D-class is going to be one of those things. And I understand it's a huge bureaucracy. I get that, but I want to see declassification of everything. I believe I know where the med beds are hidden. And I'm not going to talk about that because I don't know. Sometimes I have a very, very powerful intuition. And because of that, I don't know whether or not I've come to see or know some information that may be classified or compromising for me to tell. But I believe I know where they are all across the country, maybe even the world, possibly, but particularly all across the country. I believe I know exactly where they are, and very much hidden in plain sight. I'll put it that way. So, and then, again, that's for those of you who know what those are, med beds. Please go look it up if you don't know. It's certainly it's not a conspiracy theory or a myth. There are patents and things that are related to that, and a lot of information of old. So that definitely does exist, and I would like to think that we're not going to have to wait a lot longer to have that available. And so, if I'm right about where they are, then it'll be available very, very quickly. If I'm not right about where they are, then who knows? I don't know. It's not like what I know is the only possibility. But either way, I just hope that we have that available soon. So D-class is the next thing that I want to see. How do I put this? Maybe not the last one, but maybe the last one in this video. Somehow, some way, we need to figure out how to, break down the administrative state. Now, I know that Trump has talked about that and he's starting to put things in motion, but like I want to see meaningful movement in the first 100 days. Yeah, I want to see that. Um, and you know, I I know that there's a lot of people in the government that don't do anything because I've tried to deal with them. They don't. There's a lot of people who don't know anything. Um, there have been times I've dealt with a lot of different government agencies for a lot of different reasons. And when I get ready to make a call to a government agency or something like that, whether it's on behalf of myself or I'm assisting someone else, and I've done both, I will familiarize myself with the issue first. And my goal was to try to expedite the call because a lot of times, for example, if you call the main 800 number for Social Security, you might be on hold for an hour or more. So I don't want to have to do it more than once. But almost every single time, by the time I got on the phone with a person, I knew way more than they did. And so if they started to tell me something that wasn't true, I was prepared. I had my code ready. I had the law ready. I had the regulation ready. I had whatever rulings or citations that were relative to the issue I was calling about. And oftentimes they would actually get mad and hang up on me because they couldn't answer the questions. And I knew, and I would say, well, you know what? If you can't do that, cite me a statute, cite me a registration, tell me about your POMs. And if you don't know what the POMs are, I think it's the Program Operation Manual for Social Security or something like that. It's like this huge book of regulations that is available online. And I used to refer to that to find information about their operational procedures so that I could know and understand that whether what I was asking for was appropriate or not appropriate or how to seek the right remedy. And so I would call them and I'd be talking to them. A lot of this was from my mom. And they would just get flustered. And I'm like, look, I'm trying to create efficiency here. I'm trying to make this as easy as I can. And instead, they would become just apoplectic and hostile and oftentimes would hang up the phone. So these people need to go. We need to be, they hire people and then they're just there forever. They're not concerned with what they know. They're not concerned with, keeping them up to date. Obviously, some of the regulations may need to be cut down, but they will retaliate against you for knowing more than them. I have no doubt in my mind that this happens. None. They are so childish and petty that while you're busy just trying to resolve an issue, they feel upstaged and they will retaliate and they will, cut off benefits or delay benefits and things like that. This does happen. That's unacceptable in my view. I had this when I was trying to get a passport with the State Department. Don't even get me started. I just, they were withholding information about how to go about getting a passport, not telling me about the third-party agencies. They didn't have to vouch for them or anything like that. All they had to do was say, I was trying to make an appointment. I live in Southern California. They were telling me that the nearest appointment was like a couple of months away in Denver, Colorado, okay, for an emergency passport. So that's how bad it was. It was absolutely awful. So yeah, we need to fire the ineffective people. I still believe that Trump has been running an apprentice over the last 4 years that he's been out, and that he knows who he can and cannot trust. And the people that he's hiring that cannot be trusted, he's probably trying to remove them from where they already are. And I don't care about whether I'm right or wrong. I just hope that at the end of the day, we have the right people in the right places doing the right thing. Last, constitutional amendment. I don't know whether a constitutional amendment is necessary to end birthright citizenship, but it has to happen. Most people love their country, and there should not be an incentive for people to come here for any other reason than they want to be here more than they want to be at home. And they're willing to make the sacrifice for that. I was 20 years old when I left Wichita, Kansas and came to Los Angeles, California. It's now been, I guess it's about 35 years, over 35 years. And I did have a sister here when I moved here, but I left my parents. I left my friends that I knew. I left it all behind and I came further away than many people coming from Mexico into the United States. I knew why I was coming here. I knew what I wanted. I traveled back when I did. But listen, people, people should not be coming here to take money and leave or send away. I think that we need to make it so that the people who are coming here, it's because they want to be American. And so I just think this is something that's necessary. Maybe a constitutional amendment is not necessary, but I kind of somehow believe that it is going to be necessary. And so I'd like to see that. And, I think that a lot of overreach that's happened, it seems like the Supreme Court has already started to dismantle that. And if they have, great. If we can just put that into practice by dismantling the administrative state. But whatever we do and however we do it, we've got to figure out a way to make sure that it doesn't start growing again. So I heard someone talk about recess appointments and how they're only good for 2 years. And I'm like, that should be enough. I remember when I used to be in the corporate world, and sometimes we would do what we call business process reengineering, where we would sit down and we would completely rework the way that we did something. Oftentimes that was open enrollment for benefits, things like that. But usually what we would do is we would spend a year, sometimes more, planning out the reengineering. How are we going to do this next time? And then if we planned it out well, the implementation would go very, very smoothly. I gotta believe that Donald Trump has planned this out. He's a business person. He planned this out. He's had so much time. What more to do with this time? I know they're trying to keep him busy. I do believe that they thought, like they blew their wad on trying to destroy him so he wouldn't be able to run. And it didn't work. Now, do I think that they'll stop trying? No, never. No, I don't think that they will ever stop trying. But I gotta feel like he's got a plan, and he knows. I believe that he's got a plan, and he does know. I hope he does. I can't see how he wouldn't. I would if I was him. So I believe he's definitely smarter than me. He's got more energy than me. He's got more resources than me. There's no chance in my mind that he doesn't have a plan. So that's what I want to see next. And to cap it all off, truth, truth, and truth. I don't want any more secrets. I don't want any more lies. I don't, to me, legitimate governments don't operate in secret. If it's operating in secret in any level, to me, it's just not legitimate. I think secrecy has been used to cover up the monster that's been built. And I will not feel at peace in this whole transformation that we're going through until I feel like I have the entire truth. That's what I want more than anything, and I hope that we get that. Thanks for listening, and my next video coming up is going to be very exciting because I'm going to explain why everyone is conservative. Literally everyone. See you on the next one. Please like, comment, subscribe, share, and I'll see you on the next video.